What's going on, Cowboy Nation? It's your boy Kentastic. I was just trying to make a video. The live feed kept going in and out, so I had to do another one. Right now, this is day two. Day two just concluded not too long ago. The Cowboys had a second good day of practice after what just happened yesterday. It was a big pile of mess. We all know that their former wide receiver, kick return, punt return was return specialist. Lucky Whitehead was released yesterday due to a misunderstanding of him being involved in a larceny case back in his home in Virginia. Come to find out that it was a mistaken identity that somebody used against him, to where it pretty much gave him a bad name. Now his reputation was pretty much ruined, but I hope he does have another chance. A lot of people say, well, why don't you give the Cowboys, why do the Cowboys give him another chance? And I say, well, I'm not going to sit here and say that they should give him another chance. I feel that he had every opportunity for the past 2 years to really be the important, vital part of this team. He couldn't get past the fourth on the depth. He's at the fifth on the depth chart for the wide receivers. He couldn't get past Bryce Butler. He really couldn't get past Cole Beasley. So, what's going to happen is somebody's going to pick him up. I don't know who it's going to be. He could go to the Redskins. He could go to whoever. But I hope he does get another chance and play in this league. It's unfortunate that I was one of the people, and I will say this on my video, I did accuse him of stealing. It was pretty messed up. Because one thing about me is this, especially the way this national media blows it up to get clickbaits. That's basically what it's all about. And they don't really think more into it. They just say, oh, this is what's going on. All right, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys is the most popular team in the world, most richest franchise in the world, most valuable at that. And even if the Patriots been good for the past 15 years, Cowboys still get more attention than the New England Patriots. It is what it is. That's just the way it is. Cowboys, they bring in the bacon. At least more than 40% of the revenue that comes in the NFL is because of the Cowboys. The rest is split amongst the rest of the teams. That's a big chunk. Now, what I've been hearing is that Jason Garrett did chew him out. He did, call them out individually, each one of the fellas that got in trouble or that's been involved in something, and he called them out individually in front of everybody, which is something that's what you want to do. You want to send a message, and that's what they did with Lucky Whitehead. Inconsistency, including the game against the Giants where he failed to show up, or he was late for the team flight to New Jersey to play the Giants in a very important game, which we could have definitely used him, and he wasn't there. He was a no-show, so they told him to go home. So it was a lot of things that, just transpired to where, it didn't look good for him. Now, everybody say, well, how come they didn't cut, Damian Wilson? How come they didn't get after Ezekiel Elliott as much and this and that, See, one thing that I've always learned, if you're a star player on a franchise like this, especially a historic franchise that's known to win back in this day and winning championships and going to Super Bowls and this and that, that particular star player or that particular situational player can actually come in and make plays for your team. You're not going to cut them. You're not going to cut them. They get special treatment. But the thing about it is you can't just cut, a guy like Zeke Elliott. You can't cut a guy like Damian Wilson. A lot of people want that done, but I don't think it's going to happen because the thing about it is Zeke is a star player. Damian Wilson is he's a situational player. So, very important in the linebacker core that we do have, because he does play pretty well. Now, going forward, tomorrow they go in the pads. They play. They get in the pads. Thank goodness. Everybody keeps saying, "Well, not Damian Wilson, Jalen Smith. You know, he's doing okay. He looks really good out there. This and that, whatever." Let's see what he does with the pads on, and not only just from that, and continuously throughout with the pads. Because remember, this man wore pads since the injury, and this has been January. It was January of last year, 2016. You have to give that man time to kind of groom back into that mode of saying, okay, I got the pass on. That means that we about to go live. They're not gonna really hit each other or anything like that. It's gonna be one of those things where they just gonna break into the pads, and then once everything they say, all right, it's live, meaning that means go after it. So that's the way it is. So, lesson of the day. Whenever TMZ, CNN, ABC, CBS, Fox, whoever reports something that's very disturbing, if you really want to look more into it, make sure that you know that wherever that local channel is coming from, like Virginia or anywhere that that wherever that location of the crime or wherever that was happening, look into their back of the woods, look into that area, look into the insiders that's with those local teams, and be sure you know what's going on. Because I was a victim of that. Not a victim, I ain't gonna sit here and say it. I'm gonna say that I was silly on what I did by accusing Lucky Whitehead of what he did, and it turned out to be not true. And one thing I will say, I apologize. I'm not like these mass medias. They won't apologize, but I will apologize that what I did, usually I'm pretty good at not believing it, but I jumped for it, and that was that. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he was already going to be cut anyway. So everybody say, well, how come they brought him to camp? Well, he was still part of the team, and he has every chance to fight for the position, because there's been times where people have been brought in to replace you, and you end up outworking them to a point where you end up making the team still. So they felt that, okay, we're going to give him a chance. We're going to see what he can do. Maybe he can move up in the depth chart, but it just didn't happen. So lesson today, believe in your own research. That's all I got to say. It's your boy Kentastic, the gentleman. I'm out. Y'all have a good night. And how about them Cowboys? Yeah.